ensure once again we are still practicing our distancing during this time, and yeah, we've got the proper clearance between our presenters and of course our home audience. Good morning, everybody. This is Captain Roman Wojnarski reporting once again to you live from Station 424 in West Command in another one of our discussions in a fire hall about what else? Fire safety. Fire safety as it applies to you at home, to your family, in your everyday lives. This is very much an interactive experience, so we welcome your questions, your comments, your criticisms, your compliments, whatever you have. Please type them in the comments box on your screen. We'd be happy to take your questions about fire safety in general, but specifically today we're talking about smoking safely and balcony storage. Two things that we in the fire service are very, very familiar with, and we've got some tips to share with you today. We have with us today our two guests for this week, our fire life safety educator Luigi Trasolini and Mike Ross. So I'm going to invite those two gentlemen to come down and take a seat, and we will begin our discussions. Gentlemen?
Thanks, Captain, for having us. Hi, everyone. My name's Mike.
My name's Luigi.
And we're fire and life safety educators here with the Toronto Fire Services. Thanks for tuning in to our discussions in a fire hall this week. Yeah, this week we're going to talk about some safe smoking tips. And we're going to talk about balcony fires and balcony safety, storage on balconies, and some topics such as those. Luigi, why is we do have an increase in smoking related fire, smoking materials. Why is it such a risk?
Well, it is the #1 cause of fire fatalities.
Number one cause of fatalities
in North America, yes.
Across all of North America.
Yeah. Yeah. So if we're going to smoke, we want to make sure that we smoke, safely, right? So outside, we want to be alert, right? We want to take the hazard outside. Take
the hazard out of your home. Yeah, that's the easiest thing to do is smoke outside of your home. And as you said, be alert. If you've consumed drugs, alcohol, medications, some medications, side effects make you sleepy. Those are all things that can impair our judgment.
Yeah.
And we want to be in the right state of mind anytime that we smoke, because there are some serious consequences if things go wrong. If our judgment is impaired, the cigarette, the cannabis, whatever it is, could fall under the bed, into the mattress, and begin to smolder.
Yeah, and talking about that, we never want to smoke, right, in our bed.
Absolutely.
We never want to do that. I mean, we fall asleep, and that could happen. Exactly what you just said. Also, watching TV, maybe leaning back, being on a recliner. If we're smoking, same thing could happen. We could fall asleep, and again, the cigarette could end up getting between the pillows, smoldering, catching fire.
Yeah, they can smolder for over 3 hours, so it seems like something so innocent. Maybe we can find one spot in our home to always smoke if you have to do it inside. But the best thing to do would be to take it out of the home, for sure.
For sure.
And maybe we can reach out to our older family members as well and reiterate some of the same information that we'll learn today.
Yeah, it's good to always share. Share what you learn, right? Share with your family.
Absolutely. Now, when it comes to medical oxygen, some of us might use that. Maybe we have neighbors, friends, family that need that. Is it ever safe to smoke and use medical oxygen?
Yeah, no, we never want to smoke with medical oxygen near us in our home. Okay, we want to make sure that we are away from that. So medical oxygen will allow fire to grow faster. It'll burn hotter. Right? So it's very dangerous. So we never want to do that.
Yeah. So if it's anywhere in the home, we never want to smoke and have that in the same room, in the same home. It's just better to do it outside. If you do have medical oxygen, we have something such as this. Maybe we can post it on our door for neighbors, for firefighters. It's a big thing for firefighters if we go into the home and we see signs such as that, that talks about medical oxygen, we know that there's a large fuel source, an oxidizer element of our fire triangle in there that can help make that fire much bigger, much hotter, as you said. So let's make sure we don't mix those two things.
Another thing, when we're talking about smoking being the #1 cause of fatalities, a big part of that is also just smokers' materials, right?
Yes.
So we're talking about lighters, matches. We want to make sure that we keep these in a safe place in our home. So up high, locked up in a cabinet is a great way to keep them away from children. So especially if we have children, we want to make sure that they understand that that they don't touch them. So if they see them, to tell a grown up. Because they can see them anywhere. Like they can even see them just walking on a sidewalk, in a park. So when children come across lighters and matches, we want to make sure that they tell a grown up, and let the grown up make sure that they're put in a safe spot.
Excellent. Yes, they're not a toy. We need to, something that we teach when we're in schools is that they're tools for grown-ups and not toys for children. So maybe that's something you can introduce to your children about. It's a tool for the adults to use, and not a toy for them.
Yeah.
Another little tip would be, let's only have one lighter on the go at a time. Try and keep it on your person.
That's right.
Keep the rest of them locked up high, out of reach of those children. And the one that you want to use, let's keep it on our person, so that it doesn't go missing. Children are very crafty, and they will find, they're very good at finding things. So let's make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and if it's on you, then you know where it is, right?
Exactly. So when it comes to smoking, if you're going to do it, let's try and do it outside, as we said. But let's make sure that we have the right tools in place, such as an ashtray.
Yeah, just a nice sturdy ashtray like this one.
Yeah, you can use an ashtray,
or even
maybe an old coffee tin. Put your butts in the can. That way, it's sturdy. Something made of metal or glass, non-combustible, because those things can be very flammable. We want to make sure that it's not able to fall over. Ensure that kind of the space around your ashtray has nothing to burn, nothing that can catch fire around your immediate ashtray.
And especially something like we have over there. It's good to keep that outside, right? You have it outside. You put some water, sand in it, so that's where you're gonna be extinguishing your butt. It's important that we always have some place to put our cigarettes. So a proper ashtray, somewhere where we can extinguish.
This thing would also be good on your balconies too. It gets a little windy up that high. If it's down in there, the wind can't
take
just
it out,
blow it out.
away.
Now we talked about where some people when they want to butt them out, we see people put it in planters or in plants. Is that a good idea?
No, we never want to do that either, because there could be some dead leaves inside that planter. There could be peat moss, things that basically will catch fire, and then you're going to end up having a planter fire.
Absolutely.
You're going to end up starting a fire.
Yeah, to dispose of them, we never want to directly dump them into a garbage can.
No.
That can cause fire very, very quickly. It's combustible. We need to soak them in that water or sand that you talked about, so that we don't have that immediate fire.
We want to make sure that they're out
completely.
That they're out before we dispose of them in a garbage.
Yeah, if you're in an apartment building, be aware of the garbage chutes. Don't ever just go dump them down. Make sure that you soak them first, and maybe walk them down to the garbage room after you're done with that. That would be a much better idea. And maybe a little tip too, when you're before you go to bed, if anybody has been smoking in the room or in the home somewhere, go in and check those areas. So that we ensure that nothing has kind of fallen out of sight.
Yeah, could have fallen maybe underneath some piece of furniture, maybe it's smoldering under there. So we want to make sure that, we just do a little double check, make sure that everything's been put in the right spot, right, in an ashtray.
Exactly. And this goes for smoking cigarettes, smoking cannabis. It's with less people smoking, but more people now living in condos, potentially being outside. We do have that issue that arises. Maybe some of you out there use e-cigarettes as well.
Yeah, that's becoming more and more of a common thing where people are using e-cigarettes. Now with e-cigarettes, we want to make sure that, especially when we're charging them, that we charge them on a hard surface, something that's non-combustible, and to really kind of be there. We want to be there when it's being charged. So I know, like,
Yes.
just maybe if you're watching TV, maybe have it somewhere where you're visible and you can see it while it's charging.
What about charging them when we go to bed?
No, again, we don't want to do that because then we won't be able to see if anything does happen. So it's important that we do it at a time that we can basically monitor it as it's charging.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the thing that we want to focus on the most is always making sure that we dispose of our ash,
That's right.
our cigarettes and our cannabis correctly in
Yeah.
a nice sturdy garbage can, and never, ever, ever flick or throw your cigarette butt, whether it's out of a window, off of a balcony. That causes so many fires every year that are completely preventable.
Yeah.
Just by putting it in that ashtray that we've been talking about is, once you throw it,
Yeah.
it's out of your control.
Yeah, and it's a big problem in our city that this is happening, right? And like you said, Mike, when you throw it, who knows where it's going to go?
Yeah.
We don't know.
We are the fastest growing vertical city in North America, so it's important that we protect ourselves in these buildings.
Yeah.
Now, why do you think that we would have more balcony fires?
Well, a big part of it is our city is becoming a vertical city. We're not expanding so much this way. We're expanding this way, right? So there is a lot more people living in high-rise buildings, and and people. There's always that risk, right, of people smoking, and if they do throw the cigarettes, well, there's lots of situations where that cigarette could land and create a fire.
Yeah, and smaller spaces with our condos, maybe we don't have as much room. That balcony becomes our living space. It's an extension of our home. So once we get out there, we are forced to go to the balcony to smoke. That's the right thing. But we don't want to be throwing that cigarette butt off. Now, when it comes to storage on these balconies,
again, it can be a big. It has been a problem, and we know that we have things, and sometimes maybe we might start putting stuff starts traveling onto our balconies. Our balconies are not designed for, it's not storage, right? It's not a place where it's a very confined space. It's not made for us putting boxes, maybe old furniture in that area. And because the more it accumulates, then the more chance that if for some reason someone did ever throw a cigarette, now we have an area on our apartment that can light fire on the outside like that. Right?
Absolutely. Now, as we go through, feel free to drop us a comment, a question. That would be really great. We'd love to hear from you both. Luigi, back to your storage. What are some options that maybe our viewers could look at instead of, obviously we can't store on our balcony? Is there an option for it?
Yeah, so we want to make sure that if we have extra things, then we want to put it in a storage container, right? So either if we have a storage locker down in the building, or maybe a storage outside, right?
Oh, yeah, self-storage.
Like a self-storage type place. And another good thing is maybe it's just good to take a look at our place where we're living, and maybe we need to do a bit of a spring cleaning. Maybe we need to remove some of those things that maybe we really don't need. Maybe we forgot those boxes we put on the balcony. Maybe we don't need them, so we gotta maybe dispose of them.
Yeah, and when it comes to hazards on your balcony too, we always get questions about barbecues. We discourage the use of barbecues on our balconies. They are confined space. They don't have the airflow required to use those barbecues correctly. Check with your buildings though. They might have bylaws, or it might be in your contract, you can or can't have them. But us at the fire service, we discourage the use of those. So make sure that you have a safe home, that you try and smoke outside. If you are going to smoke inside, make sure you have these sturdy ashtrays on your balconies or inside.
Yeah, just before we keep going, I was going to say about the barbecuing. You should check to see with your building if they have communal barbecues. Maybe sometimes they might have barbecues, downstairs, outside that you can use. You might have to book it, or maybe it's just first come, first serve. That's something you can ask the management about using a communal barbecue.
Now, before we go to Luigi, we have a very important device over there.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that you all are safe at home. One of the most important things we have are working smoke alarms in our homes.
Yeah, so it's very important to have working smoke alarms in our homes, like you said, Mike. And we want to make sure that we have working smoke alarms on every level of our home and outside all sleeping areas. So very important, a working smoke alarm. We need to test them.
Yes.
Right? So we want to test them how often?
We want to test them every month. Once
month.
a month, maybe the first of every month, test your smoke alarms at home.
Yeah, and it's not hard. So we have, basically it's a little button, okay, a little test button that you'll see on your smoke alarm. And, you know, you could go on a ladder and do it, but if you don't feel comfortable climbing on anything to test it, you can even use like a broom pole.
Broomstick, maybe
Yeah.
a cane.
A cane, yeah.
The best thing.
Yeah, and we'll test it now, see if it works, okay? So basically, you hold it. Okay?
Excellent.
So that's it. Just test it, it works. Now we know that we have a working smoke alarm. Another important thing is
The batteries.
the batteries.
Make sure that we change these every 6 months. Change your clocks, change the batteries. Maybe have a couple extra nearby just in case it does happen to have the low battery alarm in the middle of the night. That's a single chirp every 2 to 3 minutes. But that may happen. Make sure you have a couple handy just in case that happens in the middle of the night.
Yeah, and smoke alarms, they don't last forever. So typically 10 years, right? They last for about 10 years. For example, this one actually gives you the date, and a lot of them do now. It basically says, this one says good till 2029. So you know when you need to replace it, when to buy a new one.
Excellent. Captain, do we have any questions out there?
Yeah, we've got a lot of questions actually. First question comes from Paul. Paul is actually a user of medical oxygen, and he's also a smoker. So he's asking about, he knows that he's not supposed to smoke when he's using the oxygen itself, but he says, what about when I shut it off and I don't need it? Am I still okay smoking in the apartment even though the oxygen tank is present?
Great question, Paul. We do not recommend smoking anywhere near the medical oxygen. Even if it's shut off, maybe it hasn't been shut off correctly.
Yeah.
If a fire starts somewhere else, you have medical oxygen present. The best way to do it is, if there's medical oxygen in that room, in that apartment, in the home, do not smoke in that home. Smoke outside away from that hazard.
Good stuff, good stuff. Okay, another question here from Gene. Gene in Toronto is asking, interesting point about the storage. Gene lives in an apartment building with very little storage and was told he couldn't store his winter tires in the underground parking garage, and he's wondering, is it okay to store the tires, just the tires, on his balcony?
Yeah, so just kind of like we talked about a little bit earlier, we don't want to use our balconies as storage. That's not what they're intended for. It's a confined space. It's not designed for storage. So no, we wouldn't want to do that. We wouldn't want to store it in there.
Excellent.
Yeah, so an option, again, we talked about it, could be self-storage. So if you need a place to put them, then it's self-storage, and keep things off those balconies, basically. You know, we want to keep our city safe, and a big part of that is just putting good safe practices in place.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, gentlemen. Maybe you want to tell the audience next week's topic?
And next week, the next discussion at a fire hall will be on seniors and senior safety. So tune in next week. Remember what we talked about this week, though. Make sure that you have those sturdy ashtrays.
Yeah.
Let's smoke outside. And if you do live in an apartment building or in a home, never throw your cigarette butts. Always butt them out in a can. And check your smoke alarms tonight and every month going forward to make sure that you are safe. Connect with us at torontofire.ca, toronto.ca/fire for information on what we talked about today and many more topics as well on there. Thank you very much for watching.
You.
Stay safe, everyone.
Stay safe.